Good day to you. I am DR.Lalith Mendis. Kasi has asked me to speak on finishing well, living your exit strategy. So we are in that time of season. We have to say it's a golden sunset. Now, you must not feel useless. You are still very useful. You might go on till 99 like Prince Philip, who knows? And he did it for the Queen of England. And you might have to do that for your own queen and for the things that you live for. They are still with you. It's your legacy that you are still living out, but in a different role. Your successors have taken over almost most things that you began, and that was expected. Now for some of us got there unexpectedly, some of us planned it through. Whatever it is, we have now entered our finishing years, and we want to finish well. We want to finish with memories and present action of exhilaration. We may have slowed down in some of our programs, but we don't have to slow down in spirit. Excellence of spirit and the favor of God are still upon us all the days of our life. So in this season, I want to take you to Psalm 23, a very simple psalm. But that psalm did not come out of David's young years. That psalm came out of David's older years, mature years. So in it, we start on the basis, the Lord is my shepherd still, I shall not want. So in our years now, we are not in a demand mode. In the finishing well years, we are in a supply mode. We have learned to be satisfied with what we have. We are exemplifying 1 Timothy 6, godliness with contentment is great gain. 3 things that highlight these years: shine forth, contentment, godliness, great gain. Let that be heard by the generation that is immediately in touch with you. That may be the 50-year-olds, and another generation at 30-year-olds, and who knows, your grandchildren and even others, 15-year-olds, they will also be in touch with you. So there is a 4-generational walk together, yoked with Christ. What are the 3 things that you are going to excel in? These are the 3 things that you are going to excel in now: godliness, contentment, great gain. You are going to teach another generation these 3 qualities: godliness, contentment, great gain. Then you will be focusing. So that's why the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want is a strong passage. So if there's any sense of want, need, unfulfilled desire, we need to go to the Lord and get it right, speak to our wife and get it right. And I must speak to you on this thing early. Your wife is in a season that she has not much pleasure in physical sexual activity, but men always think and hope that their physical sexual activity may be rejuvenated or may be satisfied. So you need to come to shalom on it and not go astray on it. You need to speak to someone on this when you're on the internet or otherwise, whether you are in that category of I shall not want, meaning I am content, I am fulfilled. Godliness, contentment, great gain. These are the 3 things that you will be your watchwords, will be your motto for life in this season. So he makes me lie down in green pastures. So your position is that you are at rest. Now, you may not be pioneering as you were once, but I want to keep this possibility. At 70 years, you may want to pioneer at least a one-to-one witness for senior citizens about the life of Christ. You are in that time, and in Asian countries particularly, those who are still in power are at the age of 70. That's how Asian countries go. I suppose African countries also may be like that. So you may be still in a position of influence, having access to legislators, judges, politicians, seniors of the executive, So think of it like that, that while you are in a rested position, He makes me to lie down in green pastures. You may still have opportunities of pioneering into areas that others may not still have access to. Consider that possible. So your second point, successes have taken over. You focus on mentoring and transfer of the wisdom. I wanted to add this for those who are dynamic and still have pioneering energy. Do it in a strategic way into areas that you are best qualified still. It may be sometimes some academic pursuit, or it may be a personal relationship through which you can present Christ to someone else. You may be still the best one for that, particularly for seniors and very influential people in your nation. Don't miss it out. Yes. So this is on He makes me to lie down. So make sure that you have a posture of green pastures, that is, wherever you look around, it pleases your eye. Your pasture is green, not brown, not dry. Don't have worries, sorrows, regrets, hopefully, that your pastures are green. Green pastures are a matter of the heart, isn't it? My God shall supply all your need according to His riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:19. So I trust if you find something brown, then it will enter your bucket list, which is the fourth point I have on my slide. You make sure that you address all unfinished business, including regrets, forgiving. So the things that you need to write them down, things that cause you anxiety, what looks brown, what does not look green. So make a bit of stock assessment of your life. What is green? Your relationship with your wife, hopefully, your relationship with your daughter and son-in-law, your relationship with your son and daughter-in-law, maybe those whom you worked with earlier, whatever relationships that still remain. You might have belonged to a group of 12 and you may be still part of it. It's good to grow old with grace, with long-standing friends. 70 is not an age, even 65 is not. When you look for friends, I personally have friends that I have kept from the age of 33. In fact, I have friends that I have had from 26. They are still running alongside. Most are still very active. So that's a great boon if you have long-standing friends. So for those who are listening to this and maybe still 45, 35, think of lifelong friends. That's how you make your sunset golden, with lifelong friends. That's a strong advice I like to give, how your pastures may look green. I should have waited for this next line. He leads me beside quiet waters. So that is the pioneering part, where you may still lead in some area that others may not be able to lead. If you are the choleric kind or the type A personality, the dominant kind, the influencer kind, you may still look for opportunities like that, and God may give you, and you may be still suited for. So He leads me. So you have to wait for God's lead. In younger days, we led anyway, whether God was there or not. We did our leading, our own style. But nowadays, we need to wait for God's lead. And quiet waters, I would put that down as deep fountains of refreshment. Sexual, friendship, deep fountains of refreshment. Then waiting upon the Lord. There's a seventh point in my slide given to me. You spend most time in communion with God, in prayer, worship, reading, sharing the word. You see, so it's a refreshing time. You work on sustaining your health physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, spiritually. So fountains include all this: physical health, mental health, emotional health, relational health, spiritual health. And from my expertise on the digital screen, I must speak to you. Don't be on the screen all day long. In fact, minimize as much as possible. In fact, have many other things to do besides the screen. So here's some technical advice for you. 4 A4 pages in 2 languages. If you write 4 A4 pages in 2 languages, you do not get Alzheimer's. That's right. But you have to write 4 A4 pages, such as your devotions and whatnot, in 2 languages. Then minimize your digital screen time. And if you have an old desktop rather than a pixel screen, that's much better. Minimize your time on iPad, tab and smartphone. Use a regular old LCD screen digital device is much better for you. Then certainly after 6 p.m. you must keep your sleep time, allow melatonin to do what it has to do. So after 6 p.m. minimize screen time. Don't become a TV addict just because you have nothing else to do. Design a timetable for your graying years, for golden sunset. Wake up at least by 5 a.m., beg your pardon. Wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm talking about the still waters, you know. Get up at 5 a.m. if possible, at least by 6 a.m. No coffee on an empty stomach, medically prohibited, and then start your day off with a hard-boiled egg, less starch. Start your day off, and every hour have a rough timetable what you will do. If you don't have a rough timetable, what will happen is you will just go to the screen. So morning exercise hour and so on, breakfast, don't get up late, it's no good. You must kick off your hormonal system early. Then after lunch, have a little snooze with your leg up, not a long sleep, get horizontal and get your adrenergic tone to morning levels with the afternoon snooze. If you are still working in office, you can still have a chair, legs up as horizontal as possible. That helps your blood pressure and so on. And evening time, sleep on time. And if you have sleep problems, I have, let me show you some books. I have some books for you. I don't know how I can get them to you on sleep habits. This one is called Screen Smart, but it has many practical advice on diet and sleeping times and so on. This I added from my expertise of the digital screen, and minimize your LED lights in your bedroom, and don't keep an LED light, blue light, in your toilet. They say orange is the best color for a washroom. Minimize LED lights because the blue light works against memory, works against sleep. So please take this to heart. Then where you exercise, if you put a choir mat, that is a mat woven out of coconut fiber or some fiber. I say coconut fiber because we have lots of that in Sri Lanka. So where you exercise, if you barefooted move a lot on a choir rope mat, you get a lot of brain facilitation with the friction and so on. Even with grips, you know, for your hands, it's a good thing. Then taking aim with the cricket ball hung from the roof and the tick-tock sound, you know, all those, and barefooted on a choir woven mat are good exercises to keep health going. I have a lot more on this. If you want to, any other clips on this, you'll have to send me a WhatsApp on +94 77 49 59 214, or just email me. I can send it to you. So these are a little about the fountains, referring to physical health, mental health, emotional health, relational health, and spiritual health. It's an excellent habit to meet with 12 people. I'll speak about this, about the table God has appointed for you. Then the green pastures, the motto for this period of life is, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Godliness, contentment, and great gain. Under that motto, under that banner, we have lying down in green pastures, excuse me, we have being led in quiet waters, then we have restoration of the soul. That comes under the regrets and so on. Speak about it with your wife or a colleague, friend. Try not to have regrets, that you will have a wonderfully restored soul. And forgive fast. Please don't move into judgment, judging people, judging governments. Many Christians go wrong. fill your mouth with prosperity. I have a prosperity list, especially for this age. It's a little long. I'll give you a sample. Lord, you desire the prosperity of your servant. Lord, you shall prosper at the hand of your servant. Lord, your servant will turn many to righteousness. Lord will water his servant. Proverbs 11, 24 to 25. Lord, your servant will be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. So I have a prosperity confession. You understood? It's a little different from the grab and claim prosperity. Lord, your servant will move from clogged up wells of Sitna and Esek to Rehoboth and Beersheba. Lord, your servant will be generous, and with generous plans he will prosper. Isaiah 32:8. So it's a 20-point list. If you want it, you can WhatsApp me or send me an email. You can go through it daily. 20 kinds of prosperity for your soul, life, for your emotional and spiritual well-being. Yes. Then he guides me in the paths of righteousness. So never he guides me in the paths of righteousness. The paths of righteousness you had from old days, never give up on them. Never alone with other ladies. Don't get caught in a compromising situation. Your digital screen when you're on the laptop or the desktop, anybody can see. Don't go to corners, don't hide yourself and get into sexual trouble. Guide me in the paths of righteousness. That's the fourth point. That is to say, what worked well for you in righteousness, don't give up in your wisdom years. Yes. Then comes the other side of life. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, COVID is everywhere. So these fears are everywhere. So if a valley of the shadow of death comes unexpectedly, hopefully not because of threat, hopefully not because of persecution, generally it is because of sickness. And the Lord has a promise in Psalm 41, the Lord will make the bed of languishing, bed of sickness of the righteous man. So may you never have sickness. May the Lord's health be sufficient for you. And Psalm 103 would be something you always quote. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Praise his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Forget not all his benefits, who forgives all my iniquities, heals all my diseases. May you have good mobility in all your joints, and may your coronary arteries, cerebral arteries be kept in health, no cancer in any organ. So that's why sleep is necessary. When melatonin properly works on our chromatin cell system, the cancerous nature of our sexual organs is kept at bay. Basically, it's a matter of immunity and melatonin to keep cancer away. So I just mentioned it because of the valley of the shadow of death, which is the fifth point in my wisdom years. The sixth point, I fear no evil, you're with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So no fear comes from the fact that God's scepter and God's staff are working through me. This is part of our call that has not ceased. Your activity may have ceased, but that has not ceased. Now these are the things that you need to give your, when you are mentoring and transferring life wisdom, you have to transfer to them what ticks in you, what ticked for you, what worked for you. So teach them that God's scepter is part of the call, that's God's government on your life, and the government God exercises through you in your spiritual call and of course in your workplace and all that. So your call involves the workplace and your great commission from Christ to make disciple of anybody who comes your way and the workplace that comes your way. I take a lot of time on this usually. Psalm 23, your rod, your scepter, your staff of provision. So there's a regal rod of authority, royal authority, and a shepherd's staff of provision that brings comfort to you, and it's part of your ministry that God's royal scepter works through you. Of course, we are royal priesthood also, and God's shepherd's staff works through you in your active years to provide in your work field. Your boss, you provided livelihood, or at least you managed livelihoods. You innovated, you invested, you speculated, you were a great entrepreneur. Now have come the years to sustain the gains. godliness, contentment, great gain. Yes. Then the sixth place is, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. So that is the table of placement, provision and people God had for you all your life. At present, I told you there will be 50-year-olds, there will be 30-year-olds, there will be even 15-year-olds, even your grandchildren. Look upon them as posterity, look upon them as legacy, add to them whatever you can. Then God anoints your head with oil and my cup overflows. This is my seventh point. Always we live our life from a cup inside, deep inside our life. It's a cup of Lord's communion with us. It's out of that overflow in the Spirit. Our emotions, our conscience are fed. Then our big brain is kept safe. There's a cup that God can make to overflow at every stage of life. Yes, my cup overflows. Then surely goodness and mercy, my eighth station of life, surely goodness and mercy, loving kindness follow all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So God's industry is still with us, and we have a house of the Lord with which we rejoice. Never miss your Sunday. Keep all God's commitments, and be glad when you are dealing with your juniors who are your successors. Wait till they ask. Don't impose yourself. Wait for those strategic moments when they need help. You will still be useful. But with the 15-year-old generation, 30-year-old generation, a wise institution will still use you, because the 30-year-olds and the 15-year-olds trust the gray hairs. Somehow there is a need in their heart for father-mother expression, senior expression. So any institution that you have been working with, will be happy to have your grandfatherliness around for the 30-year-olds and 15-year-olds. Yes. But you have to tread carefully with your 50-year-olds, because you are now handed over. You are not boss, you are not senior. So if they would agree still to sit with you every other week, that would be a great boon. This is what I am working for. If they agree to sit with you once a month, even, that is a good thing. So you have different levels of circles, of groups of 12, your own age group, the 50-year-olds, the 30-year-olds. If you have an input into them, I am speaking from 2 Timothy 2:2. I, Paul, Timothy, what you heard from me, saw from me. Then comes the third generation, committed to faithful men who are able to teach others. So faithful, able men, people, and the others. That's the fourth generation. So you might be a Paul now, living through and living with these 3 other generations. 2 Timothy 2:2. I hope this briefs go through how you relate generationally to different groups and still keep a viable, vital expression of Christ. God bless you.